I guess I'll just freestyle this. Basically, he's been working with his shoulder, and he has impingement of his long bicep. So he was doing dips, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
And he kind of re-aggravated it a little bit. So we're working on trying to figure, okay, well, why is this like continuing to happen? So you want to get into actually, let me say this now. Can you take a shot of him from like basically straight down and see, kind of put your arms on the side down for a second? You see where his shoulder sits, how much higher up on the left it is than the right? Like if you're looking from the table coming up, it's really elevated here. So the first thing I looked at, and I'll probably do this after, we'll shoot up a video, but I looked at what was happening with his scapular control, because that's a big part of shoulder function, or when people have dysfunction, is what's happening with the scapula. Is it stabilized your movement? Is there actually mobility through it, that kind of stuff. So he has actually really good control. His issue is more postural, where like, he's so tight. Great chest, looks fantastic, but he's so tight through here. He has a strength to activate and to actually stabilize his back, his mid back, but this is overpowering everything. So he has a really forward rounding posture, which is closing down the space where his long head bicep passes. Because typically that position, the head of the humerus is anteriorly positioned and superiorly raised, so it closes off that space under the subacromial arch.
So his long head of the bicep is what's kind of pulling his shoulder up and forward?
No, what's putting his shoulder forward is his pec minor, his pec major. He's really tight through here. There is some tightness through his bicep as well too, but a lot of it's coming from his anterior chest. And I'm also thinking too, is based on, I haven't looked at this yet, but just based off of the other things I've seen with him, working with him, that the joint capsule itself, probably posterior, is probably pretty tight, so it's forcing the head of his humerus forward. So yeah, basically look at working and figuring all those things out so that his shoulder can sit better to take pressure off of long head biceps, so not pinching anymore. So
and how often do you see one shoulder higher than the other?
That's not uncommon, because most people have a lot of asymmetry in their bodies anyways, depending on how dominant somebody is, depending on left-handed, right-handedness, depending if they're an athlete, what sport they play. So it's a different thing that factor. I rarely ever see people who are like symmetrical on both sides. Right? So it's going to be some sort of difference between the two. It might not be significant, but in this case, yeah, you can physically see this side is actually more forward raised, so that's why he's feeling more. He actually has dysfunction on both sides, very similar, but this was one that's troubling him more right now.
And what's troubling you, or what's the trouble?
I'll let him say that to walk you through what's going on with him.
It's like a little pinch every once in a while when I do like certain like horizontal pressing. So like if I load it between like 75 and 80% of what I can do, I'll start feeling it on the eccentric, so all the way down. And then when I start like applying like actual like pressure into the bar or anything it is, then I'll start noticing like a slight pinch. But it wouldn't be like too much where like it hurts, but I didn't really notice it. And then my right one's been there for a while, but that's a lot older. My left one is fresher, so I feel more tension and pain on my left one.
Yeah. So I've already cleaned up, or started to work basically through his pectoral group, his long head bicep, actually all the bicep group is actually pretty tight, so I'm working on that right now. And once I get the soft tissue to settle down to the front and top part of the shoulder, I'll look at working on the joint capsule itself.
All right. What component of this do you plan on covering on Saturday?
A lot of it. The biggest thing, just in terms of, I guess, the plug for the actual seminar, is looking to identify basically dysfunctions in the body, in terms of how it moves, that can create imbalances or put